Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. Welcome to Careers with Sudhir, where we bring to you news from the world of education. Parliament has been discussing the new bill to prevent exam paper leaks. But of course, most of it is about political mudslinging, barbs being fired at each other. But in this particular video, I'm going to discuss how exactly can paper leaks be prevented. Of course, the Nandan Nilekani committee has been set up by the Prime Minister to actually go into it and make specific recommendations. So basically, the idea would be that all entrance examinations in the country should be safe, secure, and leak free, so that it is a level playing field for all the students who take a specific examination. So let's start looking at this. Now, what are my credentials? One, of course, I am in the education space. I deal with Gen Z. I deal also with Gen Alpha because I started teaching class 6 and class 7 students, also talking to a lot of educators. And also for this particular video, I also discussed with a senior IAS officer from Maharashtra. So a lot of information so that this particular video is comprehensive in its approach. So basically what we need to realize is that the old ways are simply not working. We generally have a thing of, put a lot of security. So you'll have a lot of policemen, khaki guys, private security, all of that. But that's all the optics of it. The physical seals, the armed escorts, the CCTV cameras, of course, they are important, but they are just superficial security, which a camera can capture to say that, oh, a lot of security is there. But they are not enough to stop the kind of modern leaks that are happening. And there you need people with a cyber security kind of a mindset and background in order to be able to ensure that all the exam question papers are 100% safe. So what are we looking at? 10 points. The first thing is we need to ensure that we dismantle the financial incentive in leaking a big ticket question paper like what happened in NEET 2026. So the entire leak industry, we must understand, it exists only because it's incredibly lucrative. How does it happen? Let me just give you a basic idea about how the leak actually happens, like it happened in 2026. We have a coaching industry which is like a multi-crore industry. How do I, as a coaching center owner, get more students the next year? Only if I'm able to produce results in terms of how many students I'm able to secure admission into an engineering college, into a medical college, into a law college, etc. Right? So for that, if I'm able to get a shortcut in terms of knowing some of the questions beforehand, and then I make the brightest lot, I will not make all the students at my coaching center practice those questions. Mind you, there will be a set of 20 to 30 bright minds who I think have a good chance, who I will make them practice a large number of questions. But in between that, there will be these leaked questions which I have got access to, maybe because I have bought the question paper, right? So once I do that, I trust these 20, 30 bright minds to actually be able to remember and be able to do it correctly in the examination. This is how the leakage has been happening of late. It's not a case that, rich parents going and purchasing the paper. That's not how it has happened in 2026 largely. So when millions of future depend on a single 3-hour window, see, it's a high stakes examination. NEET, for example, the first Sunday of May, high stakes single day examination. That afternoon can make or break your life, right? Whether you will be a dropper and have to prepare from scratch the next year, or will you get an admission into a government medical college. So while there may be some rich parents who may purchase the paper, but largely this is the modus operandi that has been employed this year. So the black market value of a question paper skyrockets into hundreds of crores. People are willing to pay that kind of a price. So we must break this incentive structure entirely. That has to be the first step. The second point is end the single day exam model itself. Why do we need to make that first Sunday of May? And I'm not talking just about NEET. I'm just taking it as an example because that was the last big ticket paper that got leaked. But any exam for that matter, why should it be a single day kind of an adventure of sorts? So transition to year round. When I say year round, it doesn't mean that it happens every week or every month, but stagger it in the sense that you can have 2 dates or 3 dates when this examination actually takes place. Adopt the GRE or the GMAT model, make it 2 to 3 times a day in a year. Adopt the JE model, which is even better. Prelims for elimination, mains for selection. Like it happens, January end is when the prelims take place. May is when the mains take place. So you have a smaller pool of students who are there in the NEET mains. That's a model that can be employed. Distributing the test destroys the concentrated black market demand. When the paper is divided into many exams, like in JE mains, you have it spread over 5 to 6 days, right? So you have spread it around. No syndicate can leak an infinite pool of questions. This is important. So this is very important to ensure that you kind of spread it around, and it will be very difficult for the black market to actually tap into this kind of a question paper. This one is, of course, the most important suggestion that I can make. Do not make one big question paper, which is a question paper that will be given. No, create a massive digital question bank vault. That's what you need. A whole lot of, let's say, 1,000 questions of similar toughness level or graded toughness level, where okay, so you can decide, the algorithm can decide that I will take, if there are 10 questions to be taken, 3 are very easy or relatively easy, 4 are moderate, and 3 are really tough questions. So you can actually tell the algorithm that this is how I need my questions to be taken. So with tens of thousands of peer-reviewed blocks, which have been reviewed and which are 100% accurate. On exam morning, an algorithm generates unique statistically equivalent paper variants for each center. Now, this is again going to make it tough, where every center actually could get a slightly different paper. It could be the same paper with jumbled up numbers, so that your question number 2 may be my question number 82. Okay, I'm just giving a random example. Or it could be an entirely different paper, and then you can use the normalization formula in order to ensure that everyone is graded the same way, just as it happens in the case of CAT for IIMs, or it happens in the case of JEE. So it would ensure that you do not have to print those question paper weeks in advance, because that's again where leak can take place. No static PDFs. Even the paper setters won't know the final examination question paper. The people who have contributed to this question bank vault, they will not have any idea about what questions could possibly come, unless you have a very dishonest person who will leak that these are the questions that I have given, which could be leaked. But there is no guarantee that out of, let's say, if he has given 100, contributed 100 questions, how many of those 100 questions will come in the final examination? There is no saying. So in that sense, you really minimize the chances of a leak at several levels. This is a very important point. The fourth one is to have more strict government testing centers. Stop outsourcing it to private engineering colleges with compromised servers and remote access hacks. Restrict centers exclusively to government infrastructure like the Kendriya Vidyalayas, the Jawaharlal Nehru Navodayas, the IITs, the NITs. Deploy custom hardware with read-only operating systems. Keep systems completely disconnected from the open internet. So you are trying to keep it absolutely as secure as possible. Now, in places where you do not have adequate government infrastructure, then you need to do a proper audit of the private infrastructure and only then allow it to be conducted there. Then keep the exact center a secret. Now, this was something which was told to me by an IAS officer. Now, you see the reasoning behind this. See, when issuing admit cards, inform the candidate of their exam city only. So you are told, so let's assume that I am in Indore. I am told that my exam center will be Bhopal, right? So I make my arrangements in order to book the ticket and travel to Bhopal a day before the examination. All that can be done. But I am not told about the exam center till a day or two before the examination is to take place. This will ensure that you cannot do any kind of collaboration with a dishonest employee at that particular center. So center details should be revealed at the very last moment. This prevents students from collaborating with corrupt employees at a known center in advance. This is another way, because this way also some kind of cheating collaboration can possibly take place. Then smart tech, not strict dress codes. Now we see, of course, at every NEET exam for that matter, you can't wear jewelry, you cannot wear any clothes with too many shirt buttons. There are lots and lots of do's and don'ts, right? More don'ts than do's, right? Stop making students feel like criminals, right? Take off jewelry, cut off their shirt buttons. Instead, deploy high security gadgetry, jammers at every single venue. Deploy that technology to ensure that even if someone is wearing it, that will not work. That's what you need to do. Invest in advanced detection equipment that can actually locate hidden cameras and tiny hearing devices without harassing candidates, because you are already there very tense. You're only adding to that anxiety by doing all that. Let us be student friendly. Invest in technology which you can use for multiple entrance examinations like that. Then log everything on blockchain. Track the entire examination chain from the professor's desk when the questions are being prepared to the center's decryption to prepare the final paper. Now, what for this you need? For this, you need multi-signature authentication, in the sense that 3 independent officers simultaneously approving decryption exactly 15 minutes before the examination. 15 minutes may be a bit tight. It could be, let's say, 2 hours before the examination. So it will be authorized. Only the, and everything can be traced that these are the 3 officers who signed on it and it was released. So absolute accountability it will ensure. If a file is opened even a second early than the exact time and location, that is flagged instantly. So that is how accountability, which has been a word which has been kind of missing, that will be ensured when you do something like this. Then the 8th point, allow immediate exam challenge. Now, it is quite possible that even though there is peer review, etc., there could be some mistakes which may creep in, especially when it is an algorithm which is actually juggling around and deciding and preparing the paper. So immediately after the exam gets over, let's say it gets over at 5 o'clock, open it up at 5:30 for immediate challenge, right? Keep it open through the night. In a system where we trust algorithms, small errors can sometimes creep in. Allow students, educators to challenge the question paper immediately after the examination. If, let's assume, there are 5 wrong questions out of 100, cut them out and you evaluate the student on those 95 remaining correct questions. Okay, so that is something which can be done in order to ensure that you have an honest kind of a mechanism for evaluation, one that gives the student the confidence that the system will not be dishonest with us. Then this is something which will need slightly high-tech to be used, but this can ensure that you leave nothing to chance, because by chance, despite all this, if there is still some leakage which has happened, what you can do is you can run post-exam psychometric and statistical checks using artificial intelligence forensics. How does it work? The system will analyze speed patterns of every student at a particular center. So it will check whether a student took only 3 to 4 seconds to solve what is a very tough, complicated, complex physics numerical, which means that the student may have already known it before, which is why he's able to crack it at super speed. So that kind of a statistical signature will be found to be very unnatural. This is something which can be done, but you would need advanced AI forensics to be able to do this for you. So compromised centers and cheating patterns can be automatically flagged and invalidated before official results go live within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, right? So this is something which will need high tech to be deployed. But once you do this, you can ensure that, even if there is a chance of some leakage, you can actually try and catch the culprit. Now, debar corrupt coaching mafias, because as I said, it's a multi-crore industry. The coaching industry is a multi-crore business with massive financial stakes in producing toppers for marketing. One needs to have zero tolerance for the coaching mafia, any negative coaching center. So any coaching center found indulging in malified activities must be debarred from the education space for life. So that is something they should come down heavily if there is concrete proof of wrongdoing is found against any coaching center. Now, I have a point to make to the non-entrance examination coaching centers and YouTubers. Last year, it was found, and my friend Peri Maheshwar had even flagged this. Stop using fake CBSE paper leak. CBSE class 10 science paper leaked. CBSE class 12 mathematics paper leaked. Thumbnails which are put on YouTube just to kind of act as a clickbait to get more and more views. It is just clickbait, but what it does more dangerously is that it normalizes the word leak. Students think, "Arey, leak theek hai." Leak theek nahi hai. Leak cannot be okay. Leak cannot be acceptable, right? Because it hurts you, the student. So if you as a student is demanding that, sir, I mean, even if it is in jest, if you say that, maths ka paper leak kar do, what you are doing is, in your mind, you're saying it's okay for a paper to be leaked. It's not okay. Please remember that, because it hurts a large number of students. You make it seem acceptable to students. So YouTubers who are doing it must stop doing something like this. Avoid this. Anyone doing this should have their videos taken down. This is completely unacceptable. So this is the list of my suggestions, which the committee, the Nandan Nilekani committee, should look at seriously in order to ensure that we have a foolproof system of conducting our various entrance examinations. So because then we can build a better, fairer education system for everyone. Please share this video and subscribe to Careers with Sudhir for news from the world of education, and of course our many career counseling videos. Tata, bye bye. Thank you very much. Namaskar.